I grew up on the coast of South Carolina, so really close to the beach, close enough, but not dealing with beach traffic. That was cool. Got a chance to go pretty much every weekend when I drove, but if I was waiting on my parents to drive, I got a chance to go like everyone else once a year or so. And it was a big deal, one time we got to go. But when I got old enough, I was at the beach all the time. I love the beach. Who doesn't, right? But I always said from the time I was about 7 years old till pretty much the last few years, I want to live in Phoenix, Arizona. Why? Because it doesn't rain. Here's what happens when you grow up a kid in Charleston, South Carolina. Every afternoon about 3 o'clock, right about the time you're getting ready to practice for your baseball and or football, yeah, it's going to rain. It's a thunderstorm. So lightning, we're not practicing. Sometimes you miss practice for days at a time because those storms come every day, and then you basically play the games on Saturday. So as a 7-year-old, and it never stopped, even as a meteorologist to this day, I'm like, you know what? There's a reason I live out here. I'm not a big fan of rain. I don't like rain interrupting the things that I want to do because it was an everyday thing when I was young. I've wanted to be out here my whole life. When I got out here, I thought, I do love Mexican food. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to have the best Mexican food anywhere pretty much in the U.S. because, I'm never more than 20 minutes or so from being in Mexico. I'm kidding. It's more like an hour. Anyway, so you see what I'm getting at. When I got here, let me tell you what, I was disappointed because I'm not sure that it's Mexican food that I really like. I thought it was. I thought I did. But I think what I really liked was some sort of Tex-Mex version that made it through Louisiana, made it on out of Georgia, and then got to South Carolina. Maybe something like that. So probably I really just like beans and some of them tortilla shells and some ground beef, some cheese. That's good. That's fine for me. Well, that's not what you find in Mexican restaurants here. Because there are so many different Mexican restaurants and styles, you have a ton of different versions of it here. So I pulled into one probably 3 months ago, and me and my girl were like, let's try this out. So Chelsea and I walk in, we sit down, and this is called Mexico City Mexican or something. And I like, great, I appreciate y'all delineating, you're from the west side or the east side or whatever it is, whatever the sign is, I don't know because I don't speak Spanish. I don't know. So whatever that is, I'm okay with it. I mean, whatever y'all are doing, I just want to try the food. It's not like the Mexican food I'm used to. It was too real or too something. Whatever the two was, it was too much for me. My girl and I were like, hey, can we just pay for this and leave? And then I had to go somewhere else to eat. It's that. And I was like, how could it be this way? Mexican food's pretty simple. I like it. There's a couple of things and then we're done. Nope, they do it different at this particular place. Awful different for me. That being said, there are a ton of different Mexican restaurants around here for you to choose from and of various different styles. I've found much like if you're into Chinese food, there's multiple different styles of Chinese food. That's what happens when you get to a place where there's a plethora of Mexican food. So what I found is I like a couple of styles. One of them I specifically like is a restaurant that has a really good bean dip. Now, I've liked bean dip since I was a kid, but not like the Mexican kind, like the kind you get out of a can. Yeah, my dad used to put hot sauce in it, and then he would throw some crushed red peppers in it. He'd throw a little bit of garlic in it, some pepper, stir that up, and then just keep throwing more Texas Pete, Louisiana, any of them we had sitting around. Just keep pouring it in. Tabasco, the green kind. It didn't matter what color it was. Cholula, pour it on in there, see what we get. Stir it up, and that's bean dip. So I always thought that's what bean dip was. Well, turns out it's not. And this particular restaurant that I like has really good bean dip. Reminds me a little bit of what Dad made when I was a kid. So this restaurant is kind of dinner and a show because they also have a robot that does some pretty cool stuff. Not extreme robot stuff, but known to come out and pick up plates. Just they drop them off, it comes to the table, they put them on the thing, and then it drives off to the next thing, goes to the kitchen, they unload it, it drives back out to the next requested table. which is really cool. And again, it's kind of fun if you're the customer and you get to watch it. Now, what I understand, and I haven't seen this yet, I haven't been in one of these experiences yet, but from what I understand, in China and some of the places along the West Coast, they're now doing more experimentation with these robots. So they're using them to do more than the ones here are doing. They're having them deliver food to tables. They're having them to help streamline the whole operation. Like I said, they work with the bussing of the tables, if you will, and then they go ahead and take it to the back. Now you're saying, how do they do the bussing? Well, that's interesting because they've added arms to this next iteration, which is a different thing. I have not seen this yet. But the ones with the arms are also tasked with not only the mundane, but they also dance and put on a little show. Now, I have certainly not seen this, but I always think, what happens when the one that's just driving along with the dishes gets off its GPS track or something bumps it or something causes it to freak out? What is it going to do? I don't know. But now we've given it arms. It's like dinner and a software update at the same time. This thing's doing, raising its hands in the air like it just don't care. It's an interesting little show. But it's like I said, what happens if something goes wrong? Well, let me tell you what happens. Let's read it together. Restaurant robot goes haywire, sends table flying before breaking out in dance moves. That's what happens when your little machine goes bonkers. It went rogue, started slamming a table, knocked over food. There were chopsticks everywhere. Condiments are flying. Everyone in the restaurant is locked in on this. This robot went from server to domestic dispute in 3 seconds. It was amazing. You should have seen it. The whole world was looking at it. Now, staff, what are they going to do? Well, they don't really have a choice. See, they have to figure out how to subdue said robot that's lost his mind. So much for dance moves. It's now throwing dishes and chopsticks everywhere. Not a win for anyone. Now it's aggressive. Yeah, and it's smiling the whole time. Look at it. It's covered in sauce. The thing winds up covered in soy sauce from head to toe. Teriyaki too. It's going everywhere. And this thing's just a flailing its arms because it's hung in the dance mode now. It doesn't know what to do. And you got to admit, there cannot be anything scarier than a happy robot covered in soy sauce. There just can't. Now, what did they say the error was? Was it a malfunction? No, of course not. It was caused by human error. It had to be. So apparently they're saying a customer asked for it to come closer to get a picture. The space that the machine had to operate within was too tight, so it messed up the movement. So if you're keeping score, we've reached the point where even robots are like, this is a people problem. That's where we're at. Even the robots sound like the same IT people at your office. First thing happens when you call IT. Ooh, hi. Hey, I just wanted to tell you about my computer. It's, what did you do to it? IT always starts with, what did you do to it? Because it's never the computer's fault. Robots already learned that. That I like. Now, the use in China, they have gone, like I said earlier, they've gone crazy. They're calling them smart restaurants. They have robot servers, completely automated kitchens, and they're also using AI management systems for a lot of things. So basically, our NASA level tech just lost to a table for four. You got the whole thing in perspective now, all of a sudden. And it's funny because I like to go to the Mexican restaurant, and I tell you why. One, I like chips. Just going to admit it. Those tortillas, man, I could sit there and munch on those suckers all day. And I do love some guacamole. It's my favorite. But I'll tell you what else I love about the Mexican restaurant experience. You start with the dip or whatever, and everybody's talking, having a cold drink, whatever you choose, a margarita or a Coke or one of those Mexican Cokes in a bottle. Whoo, they're my favorite. Everybody's talking. I enjoy that because as a kid, that was part of how I grew up. We talked at the table. Not everyone does that, but I just think it's fun when that's happening. So we get to sit down. So that reminds me of a good time. So I enjoy, that's a fun part of the process. And I think that the robots are kind of adding to it, right? Because I think it makes it more memorable. I mean, people laughing, dodging, you know, whatever it is. I mean, nothing brings people together like a robot acting a fool. And I think in our minds, we always think the humanity gets robbed when the robots show up. But I think it actually bonds us all together a little closer as we can't wait for the robot to not excel. Nothing like malfunctioned robots to show everybody just how important humanity is, right? Tell you what, I enjoy that restaurant. It's one of my favorite places to go. The bean dip is fantastic. The Mexican foods, sort of the way they all are. Now, anymore, they kind of, this is an example of what it looks like at the restaurant where I go to. This one doesn't have arms. It just kind of does stuff. You know, you take the stuff off the trays go on there, they drive it to the back. And then it has this little eyes on the front, and the eyes will light up sometimes when it goes by, and it does this little hello thing when it comes by. It's kind of weird, but I kind of like it. I got a few pictures in my phone of it. I'm not going to lie, because it is neat. And I also think it's neat that we're going further in some of these restaurants. Because again, I think we built the robots to replace us, but now we're bonding over chasing them and, you know, fixing their messes. Truth is, you go in for some hot pot and you leave with trust issues is what really happens. But nobody wants to admit that. I like the robots. Thanks for spending time with me today. My name is Bud. If you live here in Arizona, and I just moved here, I was just talking about that a few minutes ago, but if you live here in Arizona and you don't know what's going to happen from year to year, because I don't, I'm sort of new, we haven't had a real sturdy monsoon since I've been here. And that's a big deal because the monsoon is a huge part of what happens out here. Those rains are vital. When they don't come, it's not good. It's called a non-soon. It's kind of what we branded it out here. So with that, last year we finally got our first set of real rains. Not a lot of rain, but we had several rounds of rain. We even had a day or two of solid rain, not in a row, but a day or two in the desert is a big deal. So I didn't realize what happens when you have a somewhat almost near what should be a monsoon. We were still several inches off, but we were beginning to at least get some return of the monsoon rains. Now, this time of year, I've never lived this here, again, because I haven't been here long, but you go outside now when you get out of your car and the ground starts moving. I don't know if this happens where you live, but there are grasshoppers launching themselves at your shins like they've been waiting for you all day. And it is not okay. It is not. There is no level by which you could say this is okay. No, it's sort of freaky. And then it happens again and again and again. And now you're walking like you're in a minefield. You sort of feel like everywhere you look, there's popping popcorn going on. Pop, pop, pop. They come up out of nowhere and they're just flying. And every one of them, all I can think is, I can't wait till you meet a roadrunner. Because roadrunners live to attack these things. There were a few of them on the ground when I was walking on the airfield. So at the field where I work, the runway area and all that, there's the other area where you could drive cars through, and we have planes that park and people go pick up their private planes and that kind of stuff. Well, over by the fencing, I used to do a lot of walking, and there were those, I call them mutant grasshoppers, because they fly like, I mean, they fly better than a piper. That's all I'm telling you. They fly well. In fact, that's why the tower's there. They have to talk. I'm kidding. We don't need the tower for this, but they really should. The way they fly, they're good at it. But I tell you what else likes them, roadrunners. Because here's what I found about them. And I could be wrong on this, could be 100% wrong. But when I'm walking, what I see them do is fly. I see them in the grassy area and they'll fly. Grassy is a big word, but I see them in the area with the stringy weed or two, and they'll fly out of that because they're using it for cover, and they'll land on the asphalt. It doesn't take them long. I think it's because the asphalt's so hot. I could be wrong, but it's almost like they're stunned when they hit it, and they just sit there. And then the Roadrunner comes out, and they're done in a micro millisecond. It's amazing. Roadrunners they're not afraid of you either. I don't know if you spend any time out in the Great West. In fact, they have a good memory. If they stay in your area, in a part of your area, they often stay in these areas around the airport. They'll stay here. And if you feed them, which I do not, but I have been told, and I've seen people do it, if you feed them, they'll kind of come back and they're real cool to you the next day and they're all friendly and whatnot. Now, I would not do this because that's not what I do. That bird can figure its own eating out. But I think it's interesting how close those birds will get to you because they're not afraid of you because they're so much faster than you. Now, since there's not enough, I feel like we're under attack with these grasshoppers. They're everywhere. I'm afraid I might have missed a meeting. Somehow it turned completely biblical around here and I didn't see it coming. Like, this is a thing. This is stuff we should be talking about. This should be on TV. I'm thinking invasion. That's not what it is. Turns out this is going to shock you. I overreacted. Rare, but on occasion will happen. I may have overreacted. Turns out that's what happens here when you get the wetter season than normal. More rain. I should have figured this out. This is basic. More rain, more plants, more food. So basically, we spent the last several months setting up a buffet. And now they're all like, hey, thanks. They're all you can eat now. And it's on us. So that's where we're at. Grasshoppers, I didn't know this. Grasshoppers lay their eggs right on the ground, right? And those eggs need moisture to survive. I didn't know that. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of knew that, but I didn't think it through because, I don't sit around and think of the lineage of the grasshopper while it's assaulting my shins like it owes me money. Just don't. So in dry years, a lot of those eggs that they hatch and whatnot don't make it. But in this year, remember I said we got some weird rains. So it's not really an invasion. It's more of a delayed delivery. Amazon arrived all at once and it's been 3 weeks. That kind of thing. Arizona, as maybe in the place where you live, decided to bypass spring and go straight to the middle of summer. So we have 104-degree March heat because that's okay, said no one ever. Now we have the perfect recipe. A bunch of well-fed baby grasshoppers in perfect conditions with enough growth around and plenty food, enough to keep them hidden so they can keep them alive for the predators and whatnot. And they're speed running because they know this is a short run. They're not going to be here very long. It's not happening. They're not going to make it. Apparently, this happens every few years. They call it a boom or bust cycle. I studied this for a few minutes today. Everything lines up, right? The population explodes. But don't worry. They say it balances out. The food will run out. The predators will show up. And next thing you know, things will all calm down. Eventually. That's what they're telling me. Eventually. That's comforting. Because right now, they're in the party phase, and I feel like a guest that showed up at the wrong house. Like, you lock eyes on these mutant grasshoppers, and they're not scared. They will look you dead in the face, which is new to me. They don't do that in South Carolina. They'll wind up on a hook looking at a fish down in a fish's gullet. I'm not playing around here. No, they'll look you in the face. Like I said, slapping you on the leg. Hi. No, hi. I don't want to know you. It's not going to happen here. Act like you're some kind of normal bug punching me. No, it's not how normal bugs do. I don't do the punch in the face from a bug. And they'll hit you on your glasses. That's why I have to wear glasses. Safety glasses now. They get that look on their face. Yeah, just go ahead and walk through them. Side-eyeing, giving me the neck. No. Gonna be this way This is going to need to end. We're going to need to end this like I'm entering their neighborhood. And the crazy part is, these jokers are migratory grasshoppers. They're not even natives. They're like me. They just showed up in time to complain about the heat. You kidding me? This is not okay. We're just getting going. Arizona's got grasshoppers because they're migrant. Let me tell you what happened to me in Tulsa. You think I'm kidding? I ain't. It was the weirdest thing. It was 2012, I think. I could be off a year. It happens. Somewhere around 2012, I was in Tulsa doing the Bud and Broadway show. Broadway and I just moved into town. And Broadway and I were from the hillbilly South. I'm a Mississippi State grad. He's a Mississippi survivor. He's from Mississippi. So he knows Mississippi. All I'm saying is, we never seen a haboob. Haboobs don't show up to where we live. That's not how the world works in the hillbilly South. We don't have haboobs. We don't have any of that. Next thing we know, in that first week, he and I are staying at the hotel that the company put us up in, and I was like, Broadway, run. He's got his back. He's back. He's kind of looking back towards the city, and I'm like, run. What do you mean run? I said, run. Turn around and run. There's a cloud of dust coming, sand. I mean, it's a mess. All of a sudden, the back part of the city of Tulsa from where we were standing is gone. Over by the OSU, the hospital over there, gone. All of it gone. So Broadway and I, just as the dust gets, now my revisionist history makes this a lot closer than it was. It's probably 4 miles. But I'm going to act like I'm right in my mind, which is about the time we got inside, the dust came over. We were running up the stairs, and it was a glass building. So we were trying to run up higher to see how high we could go to see this come through, because it was nuts. Two hillbillies from the South don't get to see a haboob, which is just a big dust storm, on the regular. In fact, that's the only one I've seen since I've been here. So only one. But this happened to us in Tulsa. It was a really weird year. I don't remember the synoptic setup or anything that went on for that entire year, anything that was happening with El Nino, La Nina. I don't have any way to explain what happened, but what I can tell you is, beyond that, the next thing was, we're still living downtown, mind you. We had this incredible onslaught of crickets. So I'm surviving grasshoppers now. This was crickets. It could be me. I just realized it. Somebody check. It might be me. Yeah, I could be the problem here. That's all right. I get it. So we have this onslaught of crickets, and no one thought about it. I don't think. Maybe. I've hung around Tulsa for many, many years since then, and I have not seen anything to beat this. These crickets, biblical amounts of crickets, rolled up in here and basically all died at roughly the same time. I don't know why. Maybe they ran out of cricket food. I don't know what crickets eat. I mean, what do crickets eat? I don't know. I have no idea. Whatever, there were more of the crickets than there were of whatever they ate, and the buffets were closed, and nobody wanted them at the restaurant, so it got bad. They eliminated somehow all in the streets of Tulsa. When I tell you that we had crickets that, in my mind, again, revisionist history, when they were alive, they were bouncing off the sides of the walls in downtown Tulsa. I'm not even making that up. They were that jumpity bounce off the walls. They'd hit them and bounce off, hit them and bounce off. It was the nuttiest thing I had ever seen in my natural life. Well, when you walked down the streets of Tulsa when this was going on, they were bouncing off the building, so you were dodging them because they're pretty powerful. They would hit the building and go 10 feet. Well, when you're walking down the street, they're popping you in the back. You're like, this is not okay. Then they all died. Now you're literally walking up to your ankles in dead cricket carcasses. It was disgusting. Crickets everywhere. Stacked. It was nasty. And I have no idea what caused any of that. None whatsoever. Probably was a 5-6 day occurrence and it was all over. Broadway and I were doing the radio show, so we were doing so many things at the time, and I think this happened really kind of from a Friday to a Monday, and then it was over, something like that. So we really didn't get a chance to talk much about it or to investigate it too deeply, but it was insane. So if you're keeping score, I've survived 2 biblical infestations of said animals. Okay, I'm overreacting on the grasshoppers, but not the crickets. That was not an overreaction. That was creepy and absolutely gross on every single level. Okay, I thought I had time for one more. I do not. Let me go ahead and wrap it up here. Tomorrow I'm coming back. I'm going to tell you right now, they're killing our snacks. It's got to stop. We're going to talk about that tomorrow right here. Thanks for your support and time today.